Tomorrow your love life dies, and then it's reborn as something you don't even recognize. That sounds dramatic. It is dramatic, because tomorrow isn't about gentle growth or slow improvement or taking baby steps toward better relationships. Tomorrow is about complete transformation, the kind where you go down into the underworld of your own emotional truth, face everything you've been avoiding about love, and come back up, fundamentally changed. Tomorrow, the moon in Gemini trines Pluto in Aquarius at 3:55 a.m. And when the moon, your emotional body, your instincts, your deepest needs harmonizes with Pluto, the planet of death, rebirth, and total transformation, your love life doesn't get a makeover, it gets dismantled and rebuilt from the foundation. This isn't for people who want surface-level changes. This isn't, I hope my relationship gets a little better energy. This is Persephone energy. This is descending into the underworld, confronting the shadow, and emerging as queen. Tomorrow, if you're willing to go deep, if you're willing to be honest about what's actually broken in your love life, instead of pretending everything's fine, the universe delivers a transformation so complete that 6 months from now, you won't recognize the person you were before this day. I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening tomorrow. Why Persephone's mythology shows us that real transformation requires a death before a rebirth. What moon trine Pluto actually does to your emotional body and why it forces truth in relationships. Which 3 signs experience this most intensely, and what you need to do tonight to prepare for a transformation you can't control but can choose to surrender to, because tomorrow your love life transforms completely, but only if you're brave enough to let it die first. Persephone doesn't get to stay in the meadow, she has to go to the underworld to become queen. Let me tell you about Persephone, the Greek goddess who was picking flowers in a meadow when Hades, god of the underworld, opened a chasm in the earth and dragged her down into his realm. The surface story sounds like kidnapping, a young maiden stolen from the light into darkness, but the deeper mythology, the mystery tradition version, tells a different truth. Persephone didn't just get taken, she chose. She ate the pomegranate seeds knowing it would bind her to the underworld, because she understood something her mother Demeter didn't. You can't become queen by staying in the meadow forever. The underworld in Greek mythology isn't hell. It's the place where everything hidden lives, where all the suppressed truths, the denied shadows, the parts of yourself you refuse to look at, reside, and Persephone's descent is the journey every person has to make if they want real power, real sovereignty, real transformation. You have to go down. You have to face what you've been avoiding. You have to sit with Hades, with death, with endings, with the uncomfortable truth that some things have to die for new things to be born. And here's the critical piece about Persephone. She doesn't come back the same. She returns to the upper world for half the year, but she's fundamentally changed. She's no longer the innocent maiden picking flowers. She's the queen of the underworld. She's someone who knows both the light and the dark. Someone who isn't afraid of depth. Someone who understands that real transformation requires descent. Tomorrow's moon trine Pluto is Persephone's journey compressed into one day. The moon represents your emotional world, your feelings, your needs, your relationship patterns, and Pluto represents the underworld, the shadow, the truth you don't want to look at. When they trine, when they harmonize, the moon says, I'm ready to go down, I'm ready to see what I've been avoiding, I'm ready to transform, and Pluto opens the door. Tomorrow, in your love life, that door opens, and you have to decide, do you stay in the meadow pretending everything's fine, or do you eat the pomegranate seeds? Do you descend? Do you face the truth about what's actually happening in your relationships? Because if you choose descent, if you choose truth, you don't come back the same. Your love life transforms completely, but you have to be willing to let the old version die first. What's actually happening astrologically, and why Pluto doesn't do surface-level changes. So let me break down the astrology, because understanding Pluto is essential here. Pluto isn't like other planets. Mars gives you energy, Venus gives you pleasure, Jupiter gives you expansion, but Pluto doesn't give. Pluto takes away, it strips, it destroys, it forces you to confront what you've been hiding from. And then, after the destruction, after you've hit bottom, After you've faced the shadow, Pluto rebuilds. But what gets rebuilt is fundamentally different from what was destroyed. Tomorrow, the moon in Gemini trines Pluto in Aquarius. A trine is a 120-degree angle. It's harmonious, easy flow. But here's what people miss about Pluto trines. Just because the aspect is harmonious doesn't mean the transformation is gentle. It means you're ready for it. It means your emotional body is aligned with the transformation process, Pluto. It means you're not fighting it, you're surrendering to it. In Gemini and Aquarius, both air signs, this transformation happens through truth, through communication, through finally saying the things you've been avoiding saying, through finally admitting what you actually need, instead of performing what you think you should need. Gemini is about words, thoughts, mental clarity. Aquarius is about authenticity, breaking free from conditioning, choosing truth over belonging. When the moon in Gemini trines Pluto in Aquarius, you stop lying to yourself about your love life. And that honesty, that brutal, uncomfortable, liberating honesty, is what triggers the transformation. Here's what this looks like practically. Tomorrow, you're going to have a realization, or a conversation, or a moment of clarity, so intense it feels like the ground shifting under your feet. And suddenly, you're going to see your love life with complete honesty. If you're in a relationship, you're going to see exactly what's working and what's been dead for months, but you've been pretending is alive. If you're single, you're going to see exactly what pattern you keep repeating and why you keep attracting the same type of person. If you're dating someone new, you're going to see exactly whether this has potential or if you're forcing it because you're afraid to be alone. And here's the Pluto piece. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Pluto doesn't let you go back to comfortable delusion. Once the truth is visible, you have to respond to it. You have to make the choice. Do I stay in this dead relationship, pretending it's going to get better? Do I keep repeating this pattern, pretending next time will be different? Do I keep forcing this connection, pretending compatibility is something you can create through effort? Or do I let it die? Do I grieve the loss? Do I go through the underworld of ending something, or admitting something, or changing something? And then do I rebuild from truth instead of hope? Tomorrow, Moon trine Pluto forces that choice, not through crisis, not through drama, through clarity, through seeing what's actually there instead of what you wish was there. And if you're brave enough to act on that clarity, your love life transforms completely, not eventually, immediately, because Pluto doesn't do gradual, Pluto does death and rebirth, and tomorrow you get both. Aquarius, Pluto is in your sign, and tomorrow the moon gives you permission to tell the truth you've been too afraid to speak. If you're an Aquarius sun, moon, or rising, Pluto has been in your sign. That means for months, maybe years, you've been going through deep internal transformation around your identity, your authenticity, your willingness to be yourself, even when it costs you belonging. And in relationships, this has created a split. Part of you knows exactly what you need, what you want, what kind of love actually works for you, and part of you is terrified to ask for it. Terrified that if you tell the truth about what you need, you'll be too much, too weird, too different, and you'll end up alone. Tomorrow, the moon in Gemini trines Pluto in your sign, and the permission you've been waiting for, you give it to yourself. Tomorrow, you stop performing the version of yourself that you think makes you lovable, and you start showing up as the actual version, the one with needs that don't match the relationship script everyone else follows. The one who wants love structured differently, the one who needs freedom inside commitment, or commitment inside freedom, or something that doesn't fit the normal categories. Here's what specifically happens for Aquarius tomorrow. You're going to be in a conversation, or a moment, and you're going to feel that familiar urge to hide, to not say the thing, to perform the version that's easier for the other person to accept. And instead of hiding, you're going to say it, the truth, the need, the desire, the boundary, this is actually what I want, and I know it's not normal, but it's real. And saying it, speaking your truth out loud, is the death, because you can't go back to pretending after that. You can't unsay it, you can't hide again. But here's the rebirth. When you speak your truth, one of two things happens. Either the person you're speaking to says, yes, I can meet you there, I want to try, or they say, no, that's not for me. And both answers are gifts. Because the yes means you get to build a relationship based on actual compatibility instead of performance. And the no means you get to stop wasting time pretending this could work and go find someone who actually wants what you want. Tonight, write down the truth you've been too afraid to say about what you need, what you want, how you actually want love to look. Not the sanitized version, the real version, the one that scares you because it might be too much. Write it, because tomorrow you're going to need to access that truth quickly. And if you've already named it for yourself, you won't freeze when the moment comes. Gemini, the moon is in your sign trining Pluto, and tomorrow your words have the power to end what's dead and begin what's alive. Now, Gemini, sun, moon or rising, tomorrow the moon is in your sign. That means the emotional transformation is centered on you, on your communication, on your willingness to say what needs to be said. And here's what's been happening in your love life. You've been talking around things, using clever words to avoid direct confrontation, keeping it light when it needs to be deep, staying on the surface when the real issue is buried. Tomorrow, the moon in your sign trines Pluto in Aquarius, and your communication style transforms. You stop dancing around the truth. You stop using words to create distance, and you start using words to create depth, to go to the places you've been avoiding, to say the things you've been too afraid to say. And the power of Gemini is this: when you finally speak the truth clearly, directly, without the clever deflections, your words don't just communicate, they transform reality. Here's what this looks like specifically. Tomorrow, you're going to be in a situation where the usual Gemini strategy isn't working, where keeping it light feels suffocating, where talking around the issue feels more painful than just addressing it directly, and you're going to make a choice. You're going to say the thing, the real thing, not the diplomatic version, not the version designed to keep everyone comfortable, the version that's true. I'm not happy. This isn't working. I need more. I need less. I can't keep pretending. Whatever it is, you say it. And here's the death and rebirth for Gemini. Saying the truth kills the comfortable dynamic, the safe distance, the pattern where you avoid conflict by staying mentally engaged but emotionally protected. That dies tomorrow. And what's born is real intimacy, real connection, the kind that only exists when two people are willing to be honest about what they're actually experiencing, not what they think they should be experiencing, what they actually are. But there's a warning for Gemini. Moon trine Pluto doesn't reward vagueness, it rewards specificity. So tomorrow, when you speak, be precise. Don't hint, don't suggest, don't leave room for misinterpretation. Say exactly what you mean. Use clear words, because transformation only happens when the truth is unambiguous, when there's no way to pretend you didn't say what you said. Tomorrow, your words have power, but only if you're willing to use them with complete honesty. Tonight, practice out loud. Say the thing you need to say, not to the person, just to yourself. Hear your own voice speaking the truth without softening it. Because tomorrow, when the moment comes, you need to be able to access that directness without hesitation. Your love life transforms completely tomorrow, but only if you're willing to speak transformation into existence. Scorpio, this is your native energy, and tomorrow you finally get to show someone how deep you actually go. Okay, Scorpio, sun, moon or rising, Pluto is your ruling planet. This is your energy. Death, rebirth, transformation, the underworld, this is where you live naturally. And in relationships, this has created a problem. You go deep, you want intensity, you want to know everything, you want emotional nakedness, but most people can't meet you there. Most people want to stay on the surface, and you've been compromising, pretending you can be satisfied with shallow connection, pretending you don't need the depth you actually need. Tomorrow, moon trine Pluto activates your natural frequency, and suddenly you stop compromising, you stop pretending surface level is enough, and you either pull the person you're with into the depths with you, or you realize they can't go there, and you let them go. Tomorrow isn't about creating depth, it's about revealing the depth that's already there, about showing up as the full intensity of who you actually are, and seeing if the other person can handle it. Here's what specifically happens for Scorpio tomorrow. You're going to test, not manipulatively, instinctively. You're going to say something, or do something, or create a moment that requires the other person to go deep with you, to be emotionally honest, to show you their shadow, to prove they're capable of real intimacy and not just performance intimacy, and their response tells you everything you need to know. If they meet you in the depths, if they're willing to be as emotionally naked as you're being, if they can handle your intensity without shutting down or pulling away, you've found someone who can actually be with you, and the relationship transforms. It goes from surface compatibility to soul-level connection, from this is nice to this is inevitable. That's the rebirth. That's what gets built when both people are willing to descend. But if they can't meet you there, if they pull back, if they get scared, if they try to lighten the mood or change the subject or make you feel like you're too much, you know, and that knowledge, that clarity, is the death of the fantasy that this person can give you what you need, the death of the hope that if you just compromise enough, it'll work. And once you see it, Pluto doesn't let you unsee it. You have to act on it. You have to end what's not deep enough. And that's terrifying. And it's necessary, and it's the only path to finding the kind of love that actually satisfies you. Tonight, get clear on your non-negotiables, not the surface ones, the depth ones. I need someone who can talk about the uncomfortable things. I need someone who doesn't run when I show them my shadow. I need someone who wants to know me completely, not just the pretty parts. Write them down, because tomorrow you're going to need to know what you're testing for. Your love life transforms completely tomorrow, but only if you stop hiding how deep you actually are. The transformation protocol and why resisting the death is the only way to miss the rebirth. All right, let me give you the protocol for tomorrow because this is not a day to wing it. Moon trine Pluto is powerful, but if you resist the transformation, if you try to stay in the meadow when the underworld is calling, you miss the entire point. And you stay stuck in the same love patterns for another year. So here's how you prepare. First, tonight, identify what's dead, not what you wish wasn't dead, what's actually dead. The relationship that's over but you're still in it, the pattern that doesn't work but you keep repeating it, the version of yourself in relationships that's inauthentic but feels safe. Name it, write it down, acknowledge that it's already dead. Tomorrow isn't about killing it. Tomorrow is about finally admitting it's been dead and having the funeral. Second, give yourself permission to grieve. This is critical. Transformation requires loss. Even if what you're losing wasn't good for you, even if it wasn't working, it was familiar, it was known, and letting it go means stepping into unknown territory. So tonight, feel the grief. Cry if you need to. Rage if you need to. Let yourself mourn what's ending, because if you don't grieve, you'll cling, and clinging blocks the rebirth. Third, get radically honest about what you actually want, not what sounds good, not what you think you should want, what you actually want. And here's the test. If you got exactly what you say you want, would you be terrified? If yes, that's probably the real thing. If no, you're probably still performing. Tomorrow demands real wants, not safe ones. Write them down, own them, even if they scare you. Fourth, tomorrow, when the moment comes, don't soften the truth. This is where most people sabotage their own transformation. They have the moment of clarity, they see what needs to be said or done, and then they soften it, they make it gentler, they add qualifiers, they leave escape hatches. Don't. Moon trine Pluto rewards absolute honesty. Speak the truth without softening. Act on the clarity without hedging. That's how transformation happens. And fifth, trust the rebirth even when you can't see it yet. Here's what happens. You end something or admit something or change something, and there's a gap, a space where the old thing used to be but the new thing hasn't arrived yet. And in that gap, you're going to panic. You're going to think, I made a mistake. I should go back. I should have stayed in the relationship that wasn't working. I should have kept the pattern that felt safe. Don't. The gap is where the rebirth happens. You have to stay in it. Trust that what's coming is better than what you let go of, even when you can't see it yet. All right. Tomorrow Moon trine Pluto at 3:55 a.m. transforms your love life completely. Persephone descends to the underworld. The truth you've been avoiding becomes unavoidable. The pattern that's been dead finally gets buried. And what gets born, if you're brave enough to surrender to the transformation, is a love life based on truth instead of hope, on depth instead of performance, on actual compatibility instead of wishful thinking. Do the protocol tonight. Identify what's dead, grieve it, get honest about what you actually want. And tomorrow, when the moment comes, speak the truth without softening. Let the old version die. Trust the rebirth. Your love life transforms completely tomorrow, but only if you're willing to go to the underworld first.